Hi everyone, and welcome back to another how-to video. Today we're going to be doing chicken and sweet corn soup. Now it's quite a long prep process, so you're going to need a few hours. So if you want it for lunch, I suggest you start it early in the morning. If you're having it for tea, start it around about lunchtime, because you're going to need about 3 or 4 hours for the first bit. So basically, first bit, what you want to do is take the bones and the carcass of a cooked chicken, or once it's been cooked obviously, and that goes straight into the pan. Then you want to fill the water up, depending on the size of the pan, to about halfway up the pan, just so that it just covers the carcass, and then bring that to the boil. Once it's boiled, bring it down to a medium heat, so it can simmer, and just let it simmer for 3 to 4 hours. I suggest putting a lid on it, just so that all the juice can just stay inside the saucepan and the water doesn't just boil away, because we will need the juice. But yeah, once it's taken about 3 or 4 hours, everything should have slightly boiled off of the bones. Yeah, and then we can move on to the next bit once that happens. So, see you there. Right, so it's been about 3 hours simmering. So what you want to do now is take it off the heat. If you do notice during that 3 hour period that the water does go a little bit lower, you can always just top it up, just so it goes above the carcass again. So, all that flavour's in here, and now unfortunately it's a really messy bit. So what you want to do first is you want to get another saucepan and some kind of colander and drain the juice away from all the bones and stuff. There we go. Just scoop the rest of that in there, and then what you want to do, the next bit, is probably a little bit gross for some people, but you want to let that cool a little bit, and then you want to just pick off any excess meat that has boiled away from the bones, and is still good, and it can go in our soup. So like I said, let it cool for a little minute, because obviously otherwise it's going to burn your fingers, and just keep the pan you just used to one side. If you're worried about little bits, you can always wash it out, but to be fair, it's already got a load of flavour in the pan, so we might as well use that to make our soup. So yeah, I'll leave this to cool, and then I'll come back to you near the end of me finishing picking all this stuff up, and then we can move on to the next bit. Right, what you might find is that there isn't a lot more to come off. Like I said, you just want to avoid stuff like bits of bone and bits of sort of like fat and sinew. You are literally just looking for the nice shredded bits of chicken that are just clinging on. And that's purely only so that when you have the soup, you get this nice little bit of shredded chicken through your soup. It's entirely up to you. You really don't have to do this if you're not that bothered. It will taste fine just the same. Like I said, this is only just so that you can add some nice shredded chicken through it. So yeah, so I'll go get cleaned up, and then we can move on to the next bit. Right, so now I'm all cleaned up, it's time to move on. So in this pan I've got all the shredded chicken. I then add a 200 gram tin of sweet corn. I just drained it. That goes in. Then what I do, now again, this is just my method. It's not the proper method to do it, it's just the version I do it. Take about a large tablespoon of butter and put that in the pan. And then heat that up. Now put that on a high heat, and then what you want to do is when the butter's melted, we can then add flour and make it into a bit of a thick roux. Now the butter's melted nicely, add about 1 large heaped tablespoon flour, and then stir that round. Make this nice roux, and then what you do next is then we add the juices that we boiled up from earlier. And just add them in slowly, like if you were making just a normal white sauce, just add it in slowly. Just keep it on a nice high heat. If you want to do it slower, then obviously just turn the heat down. And as you add it, you want to sort of like stir it just so that it cooks out. Because again, it could go lumpy doing it this way. So you just want to do it a little bit of liquid at a time, just so it thins out nicely. Now, obviously, just be gentle when you're stirring it, because obviously you have got the chicken and the sweet corn. But it doesn't matter too much if that all kind of gets smashed up a little bit. That will just help to the authenticity of the soup. So yeah. Once you pour all the liquid in, then turn the heat right down. Get it on a nice simmer. And yeah, just keep it going. Now, you might find you might have to add a little bit more water. But I think it should be good, and it should thicken quite nicely. So you just leave it on a nice low heat now, just for a few minutes, just to help cook out the flour. And then yeah, taste it, season it, but that is ready to go. So that is pretty much the chicken and sweet corn soup. Like I said, this is just the way I do it. Another version is that you just put it all in the pan, bring it back up to the boil, and then thicken it with corn flour. My problem with corn flour is that get it wrong and it can just go solid and gloopy, and that's not what you want. But yeah, this is pretty much ready to go. If you wanted to, you could add a little bit of cream in there. Otherwise, dish it up and enjoy. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Laters.